Hi, it's Josh Goldberg here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 main observable differences between the borderline personality and the narcissist personality. The narcissist and the borderline do share some similarities in the personalities, and people often confuse a narcissist personality for a borderline and a borderline personality for a narcissist. Both the narcissist and the borderline have some similar patterns of behavior that are manipulative, controlling, delusional or untruthful, conflict-focused, and confusing. What on earth is going on here? I've been observing and studying these personality types for 12 years now, and the 3 main differences that I'm going to share with you today are observable patterns of behavior that you'll actually be able to see on a regular basis to determine what you're dealing with. Now you might be asking yourself, Josh, what difference does it make if it's a narcissist personality or a borderline personality, as they are both not functional and toxic? Yes, you're right in saying that. At the same time, it is very helpful to know exactly what type of personality that you're involved with, so that you can take the most effective action that is best for you and the situation. I see many people that have been trying to get their narcissist partner to heal and improve for years, which we all know is a total waste of time and energy. On the other hand, I see many people that just want to cut and run from their borderline personality partner when there are things that they might be able to do that can positively influence the other person and the situation if they have the energy to do so and the right support and guidance. And besides, the conflict and drama often doesn't end when you leave the borderline personality partner, especially if there are children in the situation. So make sure you watch the whole video so you don't miss any of these 3 key points. If you have anything that you would like to add to these key points, please share with us in the comments below. Difference number 1 is that the narcissist and the borderline have different goals. The narcissist goal is grandiose supply, whereas the borderline goal is self-victim validation and to punish you. Even though that the narcissist and the borderline do have some similarities in their personality traits, the narcissist and the borderline do have very different goals in the relationship. The narcissist has constructed a stable, grandiose false self, which they use to avoid their unresolved childhood emotional traumas, whereas the borderline is very much connected to their childhood pain and they don't have a stable and successful false self. The narcissist deludes themselves and others, whereas the borderline struggles within themselves and struggles in relationships with others. The narcissist's goal in a relationship is self-fantasy validation and grandiose supply. The borderline's goal in a relationship is to be loved, but the unresolved attachment trauma of the inner child takes over, turning the borderline partner into the perpetual victim and turning you into the villain in the relationship. This validates their unresolved childhood trauma narrative. Now, the narcissist will only portray themselves as a victim if they are desperate. For example, if they are losing grandiose supply, or if they are worried that they're going to be publicly exposed as a faker, they can portray themselves as the victim temporarily in order to discredit someone or to gather support from the public. Remember, for the narcissist, being a victim greatly undermines their grandiosity and their self-omnipotence, and the narcissist will only portray the victim when they are really desperate. It is a really rare occurrence for the grandiose narcissist to portray themselves as the victim, whereas with the borderline partner, they will portray themselves as the victim and you as the villain on a daily basis. The covert or vulnerable narcissist is a slightly different case, and this is a discussion for a different video. Difference number 2. The narcissist has real grandiosity, whereas the borderline displays false grandiosity. Both the narcissist and the borderline portray themselves as grandiose. The difference in the grandiosity between the narcissist and the borderline is that the narcissist certainly has things to back up their grandiosity with, whereas the borderline will have temporary episodes of grandiosity and they don't have anything to back it up with. The narcissist takes great effort to get into high places in societal structures and organizations. So even though that the narcissist is a fake personality, they certainly gather a lot of things and evidences to back up their grandiosity with. The borderline, on the other hand, will show grandiosity at times as a temporary deflection tactic to avoid their abandonment anxiety and their negative sense of self and their fears of rejection. And this grandiosity of the borderline is not backed up by anything real. As an example, the borderline can act grandiose with you and criticize your personality or performance in the relationship, telling you what you should be doing in the relationship, when the borderline person themselves has a string of unsuccessful and dysfunctional relationships. This is false grandiosity. Difference number 3, the narcissist is social and has stable relationships, whereas the borderline is antisocial and has unstable relationships. The narcissist is a very social personality because they rely on other people for their self-fantasy validation and grandiose supply. The borderline, on the other hand, suffers in relationships and often gets very exhausted and drained in social interactions, so the borderline will often self-isolate and avoid social interactions. The narcissist lives in their false self personality 24/7, and it is a consistent and stable personality. The narcissist cultivates this false self by gathering a supportive group of people, also known as the flying monkeys, which they manipulate into supporting them by giving them emotional and material benefits. The borderline has a diffused identity and an unstable sense of self, so they will often pretend their way through social interactions, acting as a chameleon, and as you can imagine, this is very tiring. The borderline finds it very difficult to have stability in their relationships and in their life path. It is like everything with the borderline is temporary, whereas with the narcissist, things seem very stable and permanent, but obviously it is all a fake show. I hope this video has been helpful, and remember, if you think you might be involved with a narcissist person or a borderline personality, please reach out to a competent and knowledgeable person on these personalities before making any major moves. Take care of yourself and stay gold.